Hello, I am so excited to share this tutorial with you. If you are wanting to know how to embroider on a pair of socks, then you're in the right spot. So I embroidered this design onto a pair of socks. I just found these socks in the clearance section at Target. So cute and cozy. If you want this pattern, I'll link it in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to embroider on socks. You will need a pair of socks, and then you're going to also need some scissors and an embroidery needle. I like to use DMC number 5, but you can use any embroidery needle that you're comfortable using. And then you're going to need some thread. If you want these specific colors, I have them linked in my pattern. And then you'll also need your pattern pre-printed onto this water-soluble sticker paper. If you want this paper sent to you, I also have that linked in the comments. And then this is a fusible interfacing that I like to use as a stabilizer on the inside of the socks. And then I'm also going to need some pins. So I've got my socks here. I'm going to go ahead and orient them the way I want to embroider them. So I'm flipping them over so that my design will be on the outer ankle of each sock. And then I have my design printed so that they're reversed so that when I'm wearing them, they'll be the same on both sides. So now I'm going to grab my pins and I'm going to be marking my socks with these pins. So my pattern on this sticker paper is just resting on top of the sock. I'm not sticking it on yet. I've just got it resting on top, and I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to mark the edges of the socks. So I'm not pinning the paper into place or anything. The paper is just there so I can kind of see where to place the pins along the edges of my pattern. And so I'm just going to mark these 4 edges. This is going to help me know where to place the stabilizer on the back side of the sock. So I'm just pinning the sock, and I'm trying to get the pin only through the top layer of the sock. I don't want to pin the sock shut because I'm going to flip it inside out here in a sec. So now that I've got it marked, I am going to grab my interfacing right here. So with this interfacing, it's a fusible interfacing, so I'm going to be ironing it on. So I'm going to cut out a square of this that is the same size as my pattern that I just pinned on my sock. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. So the fusible interfacing here will be the same size as my pattern, and it's going to fit on that square that I just marked with the pins. So I'll cut 2 of these out, one for each sock. Okay, so I've got both of those squares, so now I'm ready to put them on my socks. So I am going to now flip my sock inside out. Okay, so I've got one of my socks done. I'm going to show you how to do the second one. So I'm going to take my iron-on interfacing, and it's got like a soft side and a rough side, and I'm going to place the rough side down. The rough side is like little glue dots. And I'm going to line it I'm going to put it between these 4 pins. Those pins are marking where I need to place this interfacing. I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to kind of tap up and down on this interfacing until it adheres to the sock. And I just kind of want to be careful not to move it while I'm ironing. But this iron is just making it stick. Those little glue dots are sticking to the sock. Helps if you kind of just press the iron up and down, and it should adhere pretty quickly. So that's that. That is going to be on the back of my sock. That interfacing is here to stay. It's going to be there when I'm done with my sock. It's going to keep the embroidery stabilized. So I flipped it right side out. Now I've got these pins here. I'm going to keep those pins there for a little longer. This is my pattern, so I'm going to peel off this release sheet. And then I'm going to place the pattern on my sock between those 4 pins and just get it exactly where I want it. Now I know that the stabilizer on the back side is going to be directly behind my pattern since I had it marked with these pins. So just kind of press it on there. It's just like a big sticker, but it's water soluble, so it will dissolve at the end when we're done. And then once I've got it in place, I can remove the 4 pins. I don't need those anymore. They were just acting as a placeholder. So now I am ready to start embroidering. So I've got my first color here. I'm just going to head and pull out some thread. And a little tip, if you didn't know this, you should pull it out from the side with the numbers on it so it doesn't get tangled. I'm going to use 6 strands on this sock. So I've got my needle threaded, and I'm just going to start at the base of the flower. It's kind of hard to work inside a sock, I'm not going to lie. So it's going to take some finagling, but it'll get easier. And I'm going to be doing a stem stitch on this flower stem. So if you haven't done a stem stitch before, I have a tutorial for that on my YouTube page as well. But basically with a stem stitch, it's going to look like the stem is twisting. And I'm going to move on to these leaves. So for these little leaves, I am going to do a lazy daisy stitch. Again, so if you don't know how to do a lazy daisy stitch, you can search this on my page, but it's often used for flower petals, like a daisy, which is why it's called the lazy daisy stitch. I also like to use it for leaves. Moving on to these, I like to call them little buds, poppy buds. For the green part of this, I am also going to use a lazy daisy stitch, just like I did for the leaves. This is just a simple stitch that is easy to fill in a little space, and it always looks really cute. So now I'm working on the poppy petals. I did my brighter orangish reddish color at the base, and now I'm doing my lighter color on the top of the poppy flower, and I'm just doing a satin stitch to fill it in. The satin stitch is kind of like coloring. You can't really mess it up. You just go from one end of the object to the other until you fill in the space completely. And then for the little poppy bud, I'm just going to do a single lazy daisy stitch right in the middle. So just a small little pop of color. And then I thought I'd just show you how I tie it off on the back. So what I'm going to do to make sure that it's nice and secure on my sock is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to slide the needle right underneath a stitch that's close by to where my thread ended. So I'm just sliding under there and then go through this loop and pull it tight. And I just do that twice. So I'm not sticking the needle through the fabric, I'm just sliding it underneath that same stitch and then popping it through that loop and pulling tight. And if you do that twice, it makes a knot that is secure. And then I can just trim off this extra thread, and that's that. So that's how I tie off the back of my socks. Okay, so now that we're done embroidering our design, it's time to remove this water-soluble sticker paper. So I've got a bowl of warm water here, and all I'm going to do is just put it in the bowl, and then you can kind of like lightly rub your finger over it to help the paper dissolve. I could have trimmed off some of this extra paper before I stuck it in the bowl. I kind of forgot. But anyways, you can keep rubbing your finger over it until the paper all kind of falls off and dissolves. If you're having a really hard time, you can also run it under a faucet with warm water, and the pressure from the faucet will help the paper dissolve as well. I usually always do that at the end. So there's a little tip for you. And then once you've got the paper off, you're going to take a towel and you're going to lay the sock on top of the towel, and then I'm just going to fold it over onto the sock and push down to get out any extra water. And this is just going to help speed up the process of the dry time. So if you get out the extra water this way, it won't take as long for the socks to dry. And then when you're done, you're just going to leave the socks flat to dry. Once they're dry, they are ready to wear. If you need to wash your socks, you can put them in with your regular clothes, and then I like to just lay them flat to dry. Leave your questions in the comments and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials.